Greetings and salutations, people. And this time, the topic of the discussing the Ramble blah 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 shall be Hell Yeah! Wrath of the Dead Rabbit. For those that know it, Hell Yeah is an action platformer that's for the PC, PlayStation Network and Xbox Live Arcade. Produced by Sega, developed by Arcado Studio. It was released back in the 25th of September 2012 on the PlayStation Network, 26th for Xbox Live, then October the 3rd, 2012 for the PC. What's the story for this little game then? The game is, you are Ash, Prince of Hell, and he sets out across the lands of Hell on a quest to restore his dignity by killing a number of monsters. Why is he killing these monsters? Because Ash was photographed in the bathtub with his rubber ducky. Thus he's lost his dignity. People are no longer going to take him seriously. Realising this, and he saw on the video view count 100 views. So his quest is to go out and slaughter 100 monsters through 10 different lands. He is doing this with a combination of a number of different weapons you pick up along the way, either when your main ride is upgraded or when you buy more. Because when your main ride is a chainsaw-like circular blade serving as his primary weapon and his primary method of transport. Hell Yeah is basically a combination of Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, with exploring type setup, or Castlevania, or even Metroid. Bit of a mix, and looking at the wiki, it got a varying amount of scores, some good, not so good. What do I have to say about this? It's fun! It can be a little frustrating at times, you just don't know what you're meant to be doing. Sometimes you just haven't explored the right areas, but still, it's a fun little game. It's going back to the age of the 16-bit era. The levels are hard, there are challenges, some of the bosses are pains to deal with, and you feel so much better when you take them down. And when you take down one of the 100 monsters you set out to kill, you get a little mini-game. Varying from quick time events to hitting targets. Targets even just something simple as shoving a spoon into a bun. It's basically, okay, to add a little bit of Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, Castlevania and WarioWare. It takes all these, mixed up with a bright, colourful, cartoony, hellish, almost disturbing appeal to it, into a fun little game that generally is good for what it is. It's fun. It's not particularly long, and as some would say, because you can complete it between 8 and 12 hours. And for what I paid for it, that's well enough. It took me about 10 hours to complete it, because I screwed up several times along the way. And some of those mini games I just can't get a handle of too well. There are, as I said before, 100 creatures to kill, 100 monsters. And these can be done varying from simple drilling them to death with your chainsaw, circular blade, you shoot them full of bullets, holy water, flames, all that joyous stuff. And then there are levels where you'll just find that your ride is taken away. Along with your ride, they take your guns. Meaning, this time, you're helpless. And you have to depend on the environment to do the killing for you. The first one you're doing is against this snotty Princess Sheep who is defended by flamethrowers. So it took me a while to get there, but you're basically hopping over the sheep, getting the flamethrowers to target you to roast the sheep. That's fun. It took me a while to get there, as I said, but still, it was satisfying when you got it done. And of course, this doesn't have any save option which you can control. It has an autosave. You complete a level, you get to a shop, you heal up, you take down a boss, you take down one of the 100 monsters, you get a save. It goes with a strange, sort of quirky humour, was almost sadistic in nature. And sometimes one of the bosses just saying, "It was just trying to be nice, you moron." And this was a particular monster that was throwing muffins at you. Muffins that hurt, but still was just throwing muffins at you. There are 10 different levels, areas, whatever. They're varying in look, each with their own little soundtracks and Boy, this has a rocking soundtrack to it, especially when you get into the boss battles, and when you first get your circular saw of doom. There is one level out of the 10 which is cringing if you like me. It's overly cute and all that malarkey, complete with the monsters that are all sickeningly cute. It's like going to Teletubby Land, but you get the advantage of you can get your guns, you get your ride, you can make them pay for being so overly irritatingly cute. This is a game where you basically are being a bastard and revel in it. And when you first get to this sickeningly cute level, as remarks about, he just doesn't like the place, even the music he finds sickening. And I'm just going, yeah, I agree with you, buddy. And generally out of the 100, most are hostile towards you. Some, however, aren't. And then just won't attack you until you do something and meet certain circumstances, such as certain bugs won't attack you until you hit this pile of goo which related to your pheromones, which means they chase you around. And of course, this is the levels where you can't attack because you haven't got your guns. And of course, this isn't just a straight up platformer. You have a space shoot 'em up. You've got underwater sections where you're going around in a sub and all that stuff. Sometimes, and surprisingly enough, just to kill some of these creatures, it's just as simple as hitting the zoom out button, zoom back in, and they just pop. The only downside to the game, which is viewed on others, is the control method. I was playing through mostly on a gamepad. Problem is, it comes with the shooting. You can't really shoot and jump at the same time, which is certain bosses basically require you to be able to do that. At those times, I had to switch over to the keyboard and mouse because, frankly, shooting was much better with the mouse. Keyboard, it just seems that the controls are that bit tighter. But still, for the most of it, I went through with the gamepad. And let's put it this way: with some of the little minigames that come after you defeat a boss, you need the gamepad because I can't, unless you remember what the controls are on the keyboard, because when it came down to it, I could not remember it. There aren't any. Most of the end levels don't have end level bosses. There's about 3 in total, and there's a final end boss. The end level bosses, as such as they are broken into 3 different stages. You knock them down to a point where they're knocked off, third of their life, part of the scenery disappears, you move on to the next section, you start anew with different tactics. Now we get to the final boss. It's a 5-stage boss. You have to wear it down one stage, wear it down to the second, get to the third, which is even meaner, because, of course, taking from Mega Man, the stages are littered with spikes, and these spikes are instant death to touch them. And on stage 3 of the final boss, there's a lot of these spikes about. So you have to be careful with your jumping. But overall, what do I say? Controls are a little fiddly, a little troublesome. If anything, it probably makes it for a better 2-player game where one person is controlling the character, moving them around, jumping, all that lot. The other person controls the shooting. Good idea? Bad idea? Maybe? Maybe not. That's just me. But I think it would make for an interesting experience. Otherwise, it's bright, it's colourful. If you're in a particular state of mind where you're just out for massacre, this is the game for you. It's fun! So yes, this is me signing off with another rambling game review. Till next time, people.